Okay, hopefully this is going then, so. Okay. So I'll walk through a little bit, and for those of you that have your codes and whatnot, I might tell you here in a while. We'll wait for a little bit. I'm going to go through the syllabus, do that kind of stuff, and I might go ahead and have you get into your teams and start logging in and showing the other folks maybe that don't have their things yet, how you're going to do it. Okay, so that they can get signed up for the simulation and get going. Okay. Because I want to, that's one of the things I kind of want to get going is just get you guys into this as quickly as possible. Well, Josh and I were talking the other day, and usually I wait a day or two before I get you into teams. But I said, maybe it'll help a little bit more to get you into teams right away, start working together on some of the preliminary stuff. Hopefully that'll help the understanding a little bit. I don't know. This is a little bit of an experiment to get you into teams this fast and do it. Early on, there's some assignments that you're going to do. Okay, that count for 10% of your final grade. They're all going to happen in the first 2 weeks. They're not really difficult. Okay, they're just designed to get you working on this. Okay, doing some stuff. It's just some quizzes that you can take. You can't fail it. Okay, you can retake it 20 times to get a perfect score. So retake it 20 times if that's what it's only 10 questions. So you shouldn't have to retake it 20 times. You maybe have to take it twice, right, to get your perfect score. You go through a little rehearsal where they kind of walk you through how you make decisions and do that kind of stuff. You guys should be kind of familiar with that coming from Kevin's game that you did in Foundation. And then you're going to do what's called a situation analysis. That gets to be a little bit more, that one takes a little bit of work. Okay. And if you work on that in groups, that's fine, but you're all going to have to do it individually because you don't have to submit anything. When you get done, you click OK, or it might say submit, I don't know, but then I can see it on my report that I get through CAPSIM. So. Whatever you do, don't pay any attention to the homework tab that you have on the CAPSIM site. Okay, I've tried using that before. It's kind of clunky. I didn't like the way it worked. Okay, and so we'll do some homework as we get going into the practice rounds and the competitive rounds that we're going to use. I'm going to assign you guys homework every week with one exception. I'll tell you that exception in a bit, but. And you'll submit it to a Dropbox just like we do, everything else at D2L. So, okay. So where's that? So CAPSIM. Get your packet. Go in. Get signed in. You'll go to sign up. Okay. And again, we'll work on that maybe in a little bit if I get you guys split into teams. Let me go back. I'm gonna go back to here and go through the syllabus and that kind of stuff first, so you guys know about grading and. An introductory video that I probably did for an online class last semester. You guys shouldn't need that, but if you want to watch it, you can. If you forget something, you want to go back.
I don't think it works. It takes you right back after the login page for D2L.
Oh, really? Well, that's kind of interesting. How about if you logged in, though, would it take you to the video?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't try to log in. I was already logged in, so I didn't want to log in.
Yeah, because I'm finding this with some of my other classes through D2L that some of the links just we always import from a prior class so that we don't have to redo everything, but some of the links aren't coming over correctly, and so I'm finding out some other classes I'm having to go back and repair some of those, and that's probably the case here. So my guess is you might be able to do it if you went to content and then went to the video, then it might show up okay, but I can't say that for sure. So the syllabus anyhow. Get her opened up here, hopefully. Oh, and then it says it's online, so I got this one goofed up too. I got to fix that, sorry. It's not online. We'll meet here. Okay, I'll expect you to be here. Again, except for there are a couple folks that are going to be taking this kind of from a distance. So, all the top stuff is the stuff you'll see that on just about every one of our business department syllabi. So it's kind of stuff we all agreed should be in there. Get down to the course requirements, the capstone simulation, I kind of talk about that. You'll end up doing, because you're going to be in teams at the end, you're going to end up doing a peer evaluation. That, along with my analysis of your participation, is going to actually count for a decent part of your grades. So, and I'll show you how much here in a little bit. There we go. Okay, participation is going to be 30%. Okay, there's things within the game that allow me to kind of track your participation. It's not perfect, and the reason I say that because when I put you into teams, you guys might get together and one person might be the only one on the computer, you know, doing all the stuff. And so I may not, so it's not perfect, so I've got to use some other tools then to try to analyze what the participation is and whatnot. But, you know, that said, the more you log in individually and look at this stuff, the better you're going to get at it, and it is going to show up on my reports. So look at the game, you know, pull it up every now and then during the week, you know, just pull it up and run through some of the financials, go through some of the stuff, and try to get some ideas about what your team ought to do to perform better and do those types of things, okay? Because there's nothing wrong with that. The capstone simulation and analyses, 40%, so that's probably the biggest, it is the biggest part of your grade. Okay, so that's the part where each week when we start, in the third week, we start making practice round decisions, okay? The winning team each week from that point on till the end of the semester, the winning team, the team that wins based on my score sheet, and I kind of developed my own score sheet, and I'll show you that hopefully if I remember to in a little bit. But based on my score sheet, then that winning team gets an A for the week, and every other team and team member gets an F, okay? Then in order to, I woke you guys up there when I said that, so in order to change that F to something better, I will issue an assignment. I'll give an assignment that will ask questions, okay? I don't know exactly what they're gonna be because I make the assignments up based on how the game's going, okay? I go and look at the same stuff you guys are looking at, and I ask some questions kind of based on that, okay? And it's usually 3 or 4 questions, so it's not real lengthy, but, and they'll start kind of easy. By the end of the semester, you know, I'm gonna try to get you guys into some little deeper financial questions and make you analyze the data a little bit and do those types of things. Can you work on those as a team? Yeah, that's fine, okay? But everybody submit their own answers, everybody type it up, okay? If one person does it and, you know, then you just all submit the same document, I'll see that really easily and I won't be very happy, okay? So I want you to get together, work on it, try to come up with the answers, but you guys all type it up. I think, you know, maybe just if you're typing it up, even if you're not helping a lot, maybe some of that'll sink in a little bit through osmosis or something, and you'll learn some of those things a little bit. So do that, okay? The assignments, that's the part that's up front here. That's the part that's going to happen in the first 2 weeks. That's going to be the introductory quiz that you got to do, the rehearsal that you got to do, and the situation analysis. And I think it's just those 3, okay? And that'll happen this week and next week. We got short weeks, right? Although, yeah, because this week we're just meeting once, and then next week we're just going to meet twice. So, you know, it doesn't sound like a lot, but since we're not meeting that often, you're going to have some class time to work on them though too. You know, after today, I'm not going to stand up here and talk a lot. I'll, you know, maybe help you out a little bit if you need some help with this and that. But I'll give you some class time to work on those. You know, getting your teams, work on the situation analysis, help each other out, getting logged in, doing that kind of stuff. So give you a little bit of time in class to do that. Oh, by the way, before I forget, wrestling tonight, right? Isn't there wrestling tonight, 7 o'clock?
Yeah. Against
Dickinson State. Okay. And then tomorrow and Friday night we have double headers, women's and men's. Okay, basketball here, 6 and 8 o'clock both nights. Who are we playing? Western and Rocky, or Rocky and Western. Who's Rocky's first? So Rocky tomorrow night, and then Western on Saturday night. So go and support your lights and skylights. Wrestling tonight, and then basketball tomorrow night and the next night. So that should be kind of fun. Now, if anybody's interested too, at 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. If you want to drive out to the ski hill, we're going to be doing some lift evacuation training. So if you want to learn how to get people off a busted lift, you can come out and learn how to do that. So fortunately, we've never had to do that in my career as a ski patroller. We haven't had to actually take people off the lift. Came close a couple times. Anyhow, so the assignments, 10%. The peer evaluation, you're going to get credit for doing the peer evaluation, but then part of that I take into consideration up here also your evaluation of your teammates and whatnot. I take that into consideration when I calculate your participation score, or when I give your participation score. Okay. The CompXM, and that's what we're going to do. We're probably not going to do this major field test. I've done those in the past. So that CompXM is probably going to count for 10% of your final grade. What's the CompXM? It's an exam that's going to go along with this program. Okay. You don't see it yet or anything, but you will. I'll get it added to it. Or you might have a little tab already. I might have added it already, but don't click on it. Don't worry about it until about midway through the semester, and then I'll get it to you midway, or 4 or 5 weeks left anyhow. What it's going to be. It's going to be another simulation that you're going to do individually. Okay, and that's why it's important for you to participate with your team. I mean, it might be easy if you got good team members to just kind of sit by and not do a hell of a lot because they're really good and you don't have to worry, right? But then you're going to take the CompXM, and the CompXM is going to test your scores individually because you'll all do that by yourself. And you're going to play a little simulation. It's 5 rounds, okay, I believe. This is a case where I've never got to do this. I have been able to get in and do the simulation that we're going to do throughout the class, but I've never gotten to do this final test. And so I kind of have to go by what students have told me through the years. So you'll do 5 rounds. I think you answer questions after 4 of the 5 rounds, okay? And the questions are tough. If you think the questions I give you throughout the semester are difficult, you're going to find the questions. You're nodding because you know that Austin said that they're pretty difficult, right? Yeah, so they're pretty difficult, okay? Yeah, you're going to scratch your head over some of those. So when you're going through some of the questions, you know, that I'm asking you, and I'm talking about them up here. Again, pay close attention. And I've tried to, you know, I've gone through, I can look at the test questions and whatnot, so I've kind of tried to incorporate similar questions into some of the weekly assignments to try to get you there. I'm not trying to teach to the test or anything like that, but I am trying to incorporate some of that thought process to get you thinking. Because they may not, part of the reason is they probably don't ask the questions the same way I might. It might be over the same subject matter, but they're asking it a little bit differently, and so I've tried to incorporate their language maybe into the questions so that you guys maybe will understand it, do a little bit better when it gets to the end. The reason we do this actually, and I score you on it, I grade you on it because I want you to give it your best effort, but that's more for us than it is for you guys. It gives us some feedback then on how you're doing compared to the rest of the world. Okay, it gives us feedback. I get a nice little report every year, every semester, how you guys stack up against everybody else in the country that's using this simulation. There's a lot of people. There's thousands of students. Okay, there's dozens and dozens of probably hundreds of colleges that use this. Okay, it's a pretty lengthy list of colleges that use this simulation, and so it kind of shows us how you stack up against them. So it's kind of a nice report, and it breaks it down into different areas, and so we can kind of look and see, yeah, maybe I need to work on this a little bit more as a teacher. So it's helpful for us, but again, I got to get you guys doing as well as you can on it. So any questions about the syllabus? Okay. Get out of there. The schedule, there's not a lot on the schedule here, so you know. I mean, I'll bring it up and you're welcome to look at it, okay? So the first 2 weeks, we're going to get you guys into the introductory stuff. 3rd week, you're going to start making practice round decisions. Okay, you got 5 rounds, practice rounds, and 8 rounds of competitive rounds. 13 weeks, so 15 weeks in a semester, so 2 weeks here to get going, and then 13 weeks of practice rounds and competitive rounds. Okay, at that point, you know, we're going to get into a pretty much of a routine. You'll probably make your decisions on I got to think about that a little bit. Probably on Tuesday, I'll require decisions to be made, okay? And I'll process those decisions then on like Wednesday morning, and then Thursday when we show up for class, we will go over the last round. I'll kind of spend, the first few times I'll probably spend half hour, 45 minutes kind of going through the round, telling you what I think about it a little bit, or what I thought about it. I'll spend a little bit of time going over the last week's assignment, you know, after we get to week 2 anyhow, or week 2 of the practice rounds, going over last week's assignment, okay, and then also tell you what the next week's assignment's going to be. So all that assignment you'll get on Thursday, and it'll be due the following Tuesday then, okay, at the same time that decisions are due. And we'll just kind of get into that routine. It'll be, okay, it'll be every week pretty much the same thing, okay, and it won't vary much until we get to spring break. Then we'll take a break, give you guys a week off. You won't have to make those decisions. Again, with 4 or 5 weeks left, I'll get you that CompXM that you guys can start working on. I get it to you that early because it's kind of time consuming. Okay, don't wait. I do that because I don't want you to wait until finals week and try to cram it all into one. Students typically say it takes from 5 to 8 hours. Okay, but you can start and stop. so you don't have to do it all in one setting. Okay, you can sit down and work on it for a half an hour, stop, come back to it. Okay, so you can do it. So I try to get that to you early so that you can kind of work on it, and just have it done then by finals week. Okay, we don't have any final other than that, and so it'll be given to you plenty ahead of time. Okay, so we're probably not going to meet finals week to go over that or anything. You guys will hopefully have, it'll be required to be done. So you will have it done or you won't pass the class. It's that simple. Okay. Questions about the schedule then or anything? Okay. What else do I got on here? I've got a few PowerPoints, and I'll probably I might go over a couple of those today. The peer evaluation form, you won't need that until the end. So, okay, so CAPSIM, I said sign in. So you guys got to get in, and you have to create a username and a password. I believe that I have access to that. I say I believe it because I never really go and look, except once in a great while. I think once or twice in the how long I've used this, I've had a student that forgot their password, so I had to go find it. So I think I can. It's been a long time since I've had to, but so use something that you won't mind me having access to, I guess. So don't use a password you use for everything else. Use something that you don't care if I see. Not that I'm gonna go see it, but I will have the ability to if I have to. So, okay. So set up a username and password, and then you're going to get to a screen where you have to have the code that you got with your packet. Right? Anybody got their packet here? Your one sheet. Have you opened it? No. Scared to open it? Yeah. Go ahead and open it up.
It's the wrong one.
It's the wrong one. It should look the same anyhow, right? And there should be a just a code on it. It's kind of an awkward code. They're long and got yours out, Keith? That's what you get for your $75 right there. That's it. So, okay. Huh? Yeah, frame it. Okay, your code's just top center there, and so as you sign in, then you're going to get to a spot. And again, we'll work on this if we have some time today. You guys that brought your packets can do it, and other people can kind of watch. Okay, and you'll get signed in, and then you'll probably get to a page eventually that looks a little bit like this. Okay, and it's just capsim.com, just capsim.com. Okay, and then I have set up, and you're going to need this number here, so you might all want to go ahead and write this down. It's easier. You can search for, like 2 students have enrolled already, so they've done a search for Montana State University Northern, and then you can click on it and join that way. But it's a lot easier if you know this number. Probably a little hard to read. It's C, it's a capital C, 86083. C as in Charlie, 86083. Okay? That's called an industry ID. Okay, that's called the industry ID. Okay? And if you have that number, then you don't have to go looking for MSU Northern, because sometimes that's kind of hard to find because I don't remember if it's under Montana State University Northern or if it's under MSU-Northern or whatever. And so, and like I said, there's I think hundreds of colleges that use this, and so finding it can be a little bit awkward sometimes. So, okay. When you get signed in, then you guys will end up getting a page that kind of looks like this too, and you just click on this and it takes you to something. Your guys is going to look a little different. Okay, this is my instructor one, but it's going to be similar. It's just going to be a little bit different than this. Oops, let me do this again now. Okay, and a lot of our menu stuff is over here. The homework tab is the one I told you to forget about. Okay, don't even worry about that. Don't go there. Okay, I don't think you guys have industry scoring. That's not going to be on yours. That's one of mine. I think your guys's might just say reports over here instead of, for me it says industry results. Your guys's might just say reports. Okay. I am on the dashboard, sorry. And your guys' dashboard looks different because I think it has up here those things that I want you to do. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, let me do it this way then. I'm going to log into so it'll look a little bit more like your guys's. Yeah, this is what your guys' will look like then. Okay, and you can see here, this is one of your assignments, introductory lesson quiz. Okay, and it says it's incomplete, so when you get rid of that incomplete. Number 2, the rehearsal quiz, and number 3, the situation analysis. So those are the assignments that you guys have to do the first 2 weeks here. Okay, and that counts for 10% of your grade. Shouldn't be very difficult. Again, you can do them and redo them and rework them and do whatever until you get it done correctly. Okay, the situation analysis won't let you complete it until you get it done correctly. So you do have to do that. Okay, get started on it if you got some problems or questions. Every now and then there's a little quirky thing in there that you'll come across a little quirky thing. Some students do and some don't. And if you do, if you hit that snag, just let me know and we'll get you through it. So don't get too worked up about these. These should be about the easiest part of the class, right? Easiest part of your grades. So start off on the right foot, get your 10% done, and do that. Okay. And then go ahead, if you want to, if you get this done today, if you're logged in, you got your deal, or you go get it later today and you get signed up and whatnot, you can't hurt this thing. So go ahead and start messing around with it and just clicking on buttons and seeing what's there and all that other good stuff. Question, Katie?
Do we need this one too?
Nope. The foundation was for Kevin's class. Yeah, you only want for this class you just want the capstone. The decisions here, it's going to take you to a page that looks like this. And excuse me. What I'll tell you is there's 2 ways that you can make decisions as we get going into the practice rounds and the competitive rounds. One way is right through your browser, okay, and that's the web version, okay. And the other way is to do it through an Excel spreadsheet. I kind of have always preferred doing it through the Excel spreadsheet, but maybe I'm a little old-fashioned. Most of the students that I've seen lately just use the web browser one. So that's kind of up to you. If you do the spreadsheet, then what happens, you download this spreadsheet, okay, and you get it saved to your thumb drive, to your hard drive, wherever you want to save it. I don't care, Z drive. Okay, you open up the spreadsheet first, and it has you log in there using the same username and password that you've set up for CapSim. Okay, so it has you log in there, and then it just takes you to the decision thing. And from it, you can look at reports and you can do all those other things as well. Okay, I think my preference, the only reason I like the Excel spreadsheet is that after I make a decision and I move, you got to click out of that cell and go to a different cell. It automatically updates. If you're using the web version, there's a little button up here that says recalculate. Be up here for you guys. And you got to click on that little button that says recalculate in order to see what the effect of your decision was. Okay, and that's kind of important because when you start making some of those decisions, you might make 4 or 5 of them, and if you don't hit that recalculate, you won't see what the effects of that decision are. Okay, and then you might go back and look at it and say, oh my God, what did I do wrong or whatever. So it's fine. Either one works fine, and it's whatever your preference is. But just make sure if you're using that web version that you're hitting that recalculate pretty often. Probably after every decision, just so you can see what's going on there. Right? You can see the effect of that decision. Okay. See if there's anything else here that's. There's 6 teams. Okay. 2 of the teams, because I made bigger teams, I got 19 of you in here, so I made 4 teams, so you're basically going to have about 5 members per team. Okay, one team will only have 4, and the other teams will have 5. 2 of the teams are going to be run by the computer. Okay, so you're going to be competing against a computer. If it goes as it normally has gone in these classes, the computer is going to kick your butts in the practice rounds. It should just throttle you. Okay, it'll embarrass all of you guys. Okay, then in the competitive rounds, after you guys have learned and the computer doesn't get any smarter, okay, usually in the competitive rounds, you guys, or at least one or two teams, will come back and throttle the computer, okay? And I've had it go to the extremes. I've had the computer win all the way through the competitive rounds, and then I've had a couple classes where the computer team or teams were literally busted by the end of the game. That's what I like to see, you know, and you guys just throttle the computer teams at the end of the competitive rounds. So let's hope that that's how it works out. We'll see. Last semester I didn't have any computer teams. I had smaller teams, and I had them all run by students, and that was okay. I was a little bit concerned that the size of the teams maybe wasn't big enough to really share a lot of ideas and bounce things off and do those types of things. So that's why I'm trying this little bit of an experiment, having teams this big. Part of it's due to the fact that this is a bigger class too. So having almost 20 students in here, it's a pretty good size. So. Any questions about that? Okay, what's happened with these 6 teams according to the, well, I'll just go, let me go to here and I'll show you. Maybe I'll show you. Yeah, I'm gonna skip through some of this stuff. But why do we do this, right? There's no risk, okay? You get to look at different strategies. It's kind of fun. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. You won't enjoy the assignments that I give, sorry. Those are going to really piss you off, but oh well. So what we've got is sensors. Okay, that's what we're making. They're sensors. And our customers, original equipment manufacturers. So think car dealers, think people that make electronics for heating systems, whatever the case may be, right? And so they require these sensors, and we make them, okay, for those guys. Okay. Initially, there was just one segment, meaning there was just kind of one sensor really that was out there, but customers started demanding different sensors for different things. And so now we have 5 different segments that we're supplying to. Okay. Very different customer demands for those segments. So some of our customers want old, slow, and cheap, and some of our customers want cutting edge new, right? Not unlike the cell phone industry. I kind of oftentimes liken this to the cell phone industry, although they're selling to retailers, right? But if I got a cell phone, I don't have a cell phone, but if I had a cell phone, right, it would be an old, slow one. I wouldn't want nothing on it because I wouldn't know how to run it anyways, right? I push in the phone numbers myself because that's just easier than trying to figure out how to set those up in the dang thing, right? Okay, whereas, you know, my little guy, okay, what's he want? He wants an Apple iPhone 8. And they're not out with an Apple iPhone 8 yet, but by God, he wants one, okay? So he's on that, he wants to be on that cutting edge, right? So that's kind of the difference, and it's kind of similar to this industry, right, that we're in, that you guys are going to be in. This is really important, how this works. You can see this is how we're going to start. We're going to be up here in this upper left-hand corner. Our 5 segments are kind of clumped together a little bit, right? Because we've just kind of started to figure out that there are the 5 segments. But then as time goes on, customers are going to demand faster and smaller, right? So they want these things to be ever faster and ever smaller. Okay, and so it's going to kind of look like that as we go through. Okay? That's extremely important, okay, for you guys to understand, you know, that it's moving like that. We look at this too. We're going to look at this after every round in a static position. Okay. In other words, each round it's going to move a ways, right? We got to remember that it's never static. That it's always moving, though, right? We just get to look at it at the end of each year, but throughout the year, okay, it's constantly moving, and so we have to kind of understand that too, because we get to position where we want our products to be in this map. Okay, and so we want to position them understanding that, you know, that the demand is going to maybe move through basically where we've positioned it, right? our position's gonna be static, but the movement of the demand's gonna be dynamic. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So low tech, me, right? I wanna be cheap, okay? I wanna be around for a while, I don't wanna be no beta tester, right? Have to be fairly reliable. I don't need cutting edge. Okay, give me old and slow, that's fine, and practical and reliable, right? High tech, size, performance, right? We want them to either be really, really perform like crazy, or we want them to be really small, or we want both, okay? And I don't care, I think, how much could I buy an old, like a flip phone for? Do they even make those anymore? You guys know?
50 cents.
Huh? 50 cents? Yeah. They're pretty cheap anyhow, right? That you can get an old, well, how about a brand new one though? Even if I went up, but I just wanted the old technology, but it was a brand new phone. Anybody have a clue? You, how much?
It's like $10.
Really?
With a contract, yeah.
With contract. Okay. Okay. Whereas if I got the new iPhone 8 or whatever they're up to now, they're like $800, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Do you remember the ones that, the cell phones that were like a landline that plugged into your car?
Yes, I do. Bag phones. Called them bag phones, yeah. Actually, they got better reception than the phones we have now. Yeah, you could take those a lot of different places, and we could get reception out at Ski Hill. Some people that had the old bag phones, and now we can't. So maybe we'll be able to. They're putting up a new tower, so hopefully. So we're in a very rapidly growing industry, too. Okay, keep this in mind. This is a rapidly growing industry, right? Market growing at around 14 or 15% per year. Okay, if I knew that I could get 14 or 15% growth per year, I'd go crazy. As an investor, I'd go flipping nuts. Okay, I'd be mortgaging my house and doing all kind. If I knew, okay, I mean, I'd just be putting every dollar I had into something like that. Okay, at 14 to 15%, your money doubles. How often? You guys remember? Every 5 years, roughly. And your money double every 5 years. So I'd be going kind of crazy, right? The high-tech market alone will be growing at a whopping 16%. Okay. So we got to be ready. We got to understand that this is growing. It's a growing market. It's growing rapidly. So what's happened is we were one company, okay, and we were meeting these needs, but the SEC decided that we were a monopoly. And you guys aren't old enough to remember the old AT&T, but there was a time when AT&T had a monopoly on every phone call practically that was made in the United States of America, at least anything that was long distance and most local calls too. Anyhow, so we got a monopoly, and the SEC's decided they don't want us to monopolize that. I don't know why the SEC would do that. I would think that it would either be the FTC or the FCC, but probably the FTC, because it shouldn't be the communications unless that's what our sensors are being used for. Anyhow, I would think it would be the FTC. But anyhow, they've come in and decided they're going to break us up into 6 different companies, okay, and we're going to compete against each other, and our companies are going to be called Andrews, Baldwin, Chester, Digby, Erie, and Ferris. And we're all going to start out at the exact same. Okay, so everybody starts out, even playing field, exact same. We're about 100 million in sales, okay? So we had one company that had about 600 million in sales. Now we're going to have 6 companies that have about 100 million each. The 5 product lines, 5 segments, like we talked about, 5 product lines. Okay, it's closed marketplace, so we're not going to have new competitors coming in. Okay, so I'm hiring, let's see, chairman. You guys can call me chairman, I guess, for this. So I'm hiring new people to run these companies, right? So you guys are it. It says my dream team. I don't know about that one. Let's see. Okay, so you guys will make decisions in 4 functional areas. There's going to be some add-ons too that'll come in that you'll end up making some decisions in as well. Okay, but R&D, research and development. So you get to determine, how fast and how small you want your product to be, right? Okay. that also determines where it's going to be on that perceptual map, okay? So you choose how fast and how small you want it to be, and then it'll show you where it's gonna be on that perceptual map, which is the map, you know, that matches up with the demand that's going on. We have the 5 segments there, okay? You do that in the R&D. R&D costs money though, right? So it's kind of expensive. So if you're competing in those 3 high-end areas, performance, size, and height, okay, you gotta stay out front of that, and you're gonna spend some money to do that, right? If on the other hand, you're just competing mostly in the low end, and you can pick or choose here, you can pick all 5 too, that's no problem, right? But if you're mainly in that low end, you're not spending as much money in R&D, right? Because old guys like me, we don't really care. You know, it can be slow and reliable and old, and I don't care, that's fine, right? So you make a lot of decisions there. Marketing, again, we're trying to make marketing decisions, but with dollars, and so it's primarily with dollars. You'll get to make advanced marketing kicks in, I think, round 2 or round 3, and in advanced marketing, you get to allocate those dollars a little bit differently, so you spend a little bit of time actually allocating them. The first couple rounds, you're just going to put gross dollars into it, and then about round 2 or 3, whatever I have set up, then you get to allocate them a little bit in different areas and whatnot, so that can be kind of important. You make production, okay, decisions. That's how many you're going to produce, basically, right? But it's also how big you want your plant to be. Okay, how big you want your plant to be. Okay, how much capacity you want, because you got this decision to make, right? You could have this huge plant and have 1 shift work. Okay, it's kind of nice because you'll never pay any overtime, right? Or you can have a smaller plant, but you have a second shift working, but you got to pay those boys and gals, you got to pay them time and a half. Okay? So you're going to have to think about which one is going to be most cost effective, maybe. Okay? I'm going to tell you that having the smaller plant and whatnot, some of those savings are kind of invisible. You don't really see them. Okay? You really got to get out a sharp pencil to figure that out, and something, I mean, you never get it exactly. Okay? So it's an interesting, it's an interesting dynamic that you guys have to mess around with there a little bit. And then you get to make decisions about financing. Do we borrow money? Okay. Do we pay back money that we owe? We have a lot of cash. Do we sell stock? Okay. When we sell stock, we're diluting our stock base. Okay. So you're all going to start out 2 million shares outstanding. So if you sell 200,000 shares, now all of a sudden you got an extra 10% of the shares out there. It dilutes the earnings per share, which, by the way, earnings per share is one of the biggest things I score you on. Okay, so if you're diluting the earnings per share, okay, it makes it more difficult to have high earnings per share. Okay, more shares outstanding, the tougher it is to have high earnings per share. Fewer shares outstanding, the easier it is to have earnings per share. Now, that said, that doesn't mean that selling stock and raising money isn't a good idea as long as you're investing in things that are going to make you more money. Okay, so companies do that all the time. Big companies right now, companies that we're familiar with, are buying back a lot of stock, tons and tons of stock. Okay, and part of the reason they just got too much cash. Apple's sitting on $200 billion in cash, roughly. Okay, roughly $200 billion in cash. Most of it's overseas. Apple's buying back stock on a regular basis. Microsoft's been buying back stock for the last 10 years at rates that are, I don't know, $10, $20 billion per year. They're just buying back stock. So they're shrinking their shareholder base. They've gone from 10 billion shares outstanding to, I think they got less than 9 billion shares outstanding. I know billion shares doesn't sound like a lot, but at the $60 a share, it's a decent chunk of change, right? So you're make those decisions in the finance. Okay, you can borrow short term, you can borrow long term, you can do those types of things. So research and development, I kind of talked about all these. Sorry. You also get to decide the reliability. I talked about placing it. That's the speed and the size. But you also get to determine the reliability, which is the MTBF. A lot of teams don't mess around with that too much. They just kind of ignore that for whatever reason. Get your guide out and read about it, because that can be important. Both in terms of satisfying customer needs, and or saving money. Okay, you can look at that one in both ways. So, marketing, kind of talked about those things. Pro formas, they give you one of the financial statements that you look at is pro forma, meaning that after you've done major decisions and whatnot, you can go kind of look at what the computer is estimating everything is going to turn out. Okay, pro formas are nice. It gives you a rough idea. Okay, the computer has absolutely no idea what your competitors are doing, though. Okay, has zero idea what your competitors are doing. So the pro forma is not something that you can bet your last dollar on, right? Just because the computer says this is what I think's going to happen this next round, that doesn't mean that's what's going to happen. Okay, you might have a team that's out there that just decides to undercut the price on everything just like crazy, right? And you had this kind of projection for sales, and all of a sudden your sales plummet because they're selling all kinds of stuff because they cut the prices, and your performance just shot all to hell, right? Okay, so those types of things can happen. So the perform is a nice tool. You look at it, you always do that. In any kind of industry, you're budgeting, doing those types of things, which is basically performa. But that doesn't mean that's what's going to happen, right? So use it, but don't rely on it totally. I find that there's actually a better way that I kind of mess around with when I'm kind of doing this is to do a performa. I kind of like just call it a what if. But I always like to look at my decisions, and then I go to the finance page as kind of my last decision page. And so I make decisions, and then that finance page will tell me where I'm sitting cash-wise and those types of things. And for me, that's a little bit better than actually using Performa, but either or. I mean, they both have their place. So I'll let you guys decide. Minimum of here's scoring the game. This is their scoring. I don't use their scoring. I don't like their scoring. So I created my own scoring, and I'll show you that here. Time is 8:50, so I got some time here. I do want to give you an idea what my scoring's like. So, yeah, we'll do it here. I'll send this out, each week after the practice rounds and whatnot, so you guys can take a look at it and see my scoring. What I'll tell you is that all of this stuff's up here is just stuff that I copy and paste into my deal, and so you can look at it if you want, but it's probably not going to make a ton of sense, okay? It's reports and whatnot, and that's fine. It's stuff that you guys can get as well. It's information that's freely available to you guys, okay? But I just copy and paste it, and then here's the actual scoring, and most of this stuff over here is just formulas that I had to put in to make this all work, so I hope they don't change the game and whatnot, or I'm going to have to go back and recreate those formulas, and I did them about 10 years ago. I don't know if I could recreate them, man. Okay, so what do I score on? Earnings per share, number one, right? Okay, I think Kevin said you just got to make profit, right? Yeah, profit's important, and you can see I scored a little bit for profit there, but not as much. As a shareholder, okay, I'm a shareholder in all your guys' companies, I'm interested in earnings per share. Now, that said, earnings per share in the real world are meaningless, okay? And what do I mean by that? Well, Berkshire Hathaway, you guys hear me talk about that all the time, Berkshire Hathaway, A-stock, it makes about $15,000 per share every year. Well, that's a lot of money, that's per share, right? Let's see, Glacier Bank, okay? I know a little Glacier Bank stock, they make about $1 per share. So it's a big difference, right? Does that mean that one investment's better than the other? Not at all. Okay. The only reason this works for you guys is because we're starting out even. Everybody's starting out exactly the same. That's the only reason that I can score earnings per share as being that important. Okay. So in the real world, I don't look at earnings. I look at earnings per share, but you got to look at earnings per share based, as compared to the assets that they have and the equity that they have and all those other things, right? Okay. So this only works for this game. So when you talk about earnings per share out in the real world, some of my other classes, you wouldn't hear it as much because it's just not as important. ROE then is what? Return on equity. Yeah, return on equity. Huge. Okay, huge. Okay, because that's my equity. Okay, that's the shares that I own. That's my equity. Okay, now return on equity. How do I calculate that? You guys are going to need to know this because I'll ask you 100 questions during the
calculate return on equity? It's really simple. Huh? Finance class. Return on anything is net income divided by whatever that anything is. So return on assets is net income divided by assets. Return on sales is net income divided by sales. Return on equity is net income divided by equity. Okay? So this is net income divided by equity. So how can I make my ROE go up? Simple ratio. How can I make it go up? I can increase my income. What was the other one? Or I can reduce my equity, or I can do both. Yeah, exactly. Right? We oftentimes think about the first one, which is increasing income. That's very, very important. We sometimes don't think as much about the second one, right? Why do I want to reduce my equity? Why would you want to reduce your equity? It's going to be riskier. Anytime you reduce your equity position, you're going to have a little more risk because you're taking on more leverage, right? Okay. But there are ideal positions, okay? Yeah, I got an industry that's growing 14% per year. Maybe leverage isn't all bad, okay? Maybe a little bit of leverage isn't all bad, so think about that. Contribution margin, I put this one up there because it's a huge component of the game. Your contribution margin is basically your sales per item, or price per item, minus the variable cost per item, okay? And that basically creates contribution margin that then we analyze over all the 5 segments that you have, each team has. You might end up with more products than 5, okay? They're still going to be in those 5 segments, but you might end up with as many as 8 products in 5 segments. And so we do an average there, and we try to figure out contribution margin. Contribution margin is a huge factor in the game, and so that's why I give it a little bit of credence in my score. Okay, so you want to shoot for that. You're going to start out a little bit less than 30%, I think. I think the guide, when you read the guide, tells you that you want to get up above 30%. I'll tell you, if you're at 30% at the end of the game, you're going to have your ass kicked. Okay? Because there's going to be teams that are going to be way over 30%. Way over 30%. Okay? So I would shoot for something quite a bit higher than 30% by the end of the game. Okay? First couple rounds, and, you know, you're going to have troubles moving that dial. Move a bit. Okay? You just got to concentrate on moving that a little bit every round, so that by the end of the game, you're going to be quite a bit higher than that 30%. Okay? Stock price. I care a little bit about the stock price, obviously, during the course of the game. Where the stock price goes, or quarter to quarter, or round to round, whatever the case is. So stock price, that's the change in stock price. So that's not the highest stock price necessarily. That's what have you done for me lately. So how much did your stock price change from last round to this round? Okay, so it's based on that. Profits, I throw that in there. Not a huge deal. Can you be the most profitable team and have a low ROE? Yeah. Okay. Can you be not so profitable and have a high ROE? Okay. And as an investor, okay, it's my equity. I'm concerned on my return on that equity more so than I am on the overall profits that you're in. Right? Okay. I want you guys to do well with my equity. Cash flow. A little bit there, not a lot. I just want you to be concerned about cash flow, so I kind of scored that. Strategy, that's completely subjective. That's up to me. I generally don't discount teams for strategy, but occasionally I will. Okay, so I want you to adhere to your strategy, because the team that wins this game is the team that will most boldly and aggressively, but not recklessly, pursue their strategy. Okay, boldly and aggressively pursue your strategy, but don't do it recklessly. Okay. I don't think I gave this advice last semester, and I probably should have, but if I were a team, the first thing I would do is, after you choose your strategy, which you're all going to be required to do and submit to me, I think that's one of your early assignments too, I would sit down and write out all the things that would help me in pursuit of that strategy. Okay, and then all the tactics and all those decisions. And then when you sit down and make your decisions, it should help you make those decisions, right? Okay? And I don't see teams, I should deduct more for this because I don't see teams pursuing their strategy as diligently as they should. And we'll talk about strategy in a bit. I'll probably wait and talk about that on Tuesday to get you guys planning your strategies and do those types of things. Then I might have some discounts. Okay? If you get an emergency loan over $5 million, and You can have a little emergency loan, I'm not gonna get too worried about it. But if you get one over 5 million, I'm gonna ding you, okay, minus 5 points. If your leverage gets too high, remember I said leverage is kind of a good thing, but with leverage comes risk. So if you get too high, I'm gonna ding you a little bit, okay, 2.25, and they define leverage as assets divided by equity, I believe. Okay, a little different, we always use debt to equity ratio, so sometimes this one confuses me a little bit, I gotta think about it. Okay, but I think they have an assets divided by equity is how they describe leverage. And so if you get above 2.25, you'll start out at about 1.7, I think, or something like that. Okay. And then working capital, you got to keep your working capital above 20 million. How do we define working capital? Is from accounting 1, in your sophomore year. Working capital is, you guys are going to get tired of hearing about this. Now you won't. Current assets minus current liabilities, right? Current assets minus current liabilities. Got to keep that above 20 million. Current assets are current cash, inventory, accounts receivable, basically, right? Current liabilities are current liabilities. So CPLTD, current portion of long-term debt. It's also whatever accounts payable and the current debts that you might have. Okay. Questions about that? I probably should have waited on that because the scoring system gets to be a little bit. The thing, and I'll say this throughout often, and I think it's up here. Let me see if it's someplace else here. No. You all need to come in here. You see I clicked on help and support up here, and then it brought up this. And then there's a guide. And if I were you, I would take this PDF guide that it says right here and download that and save it to your hard drive, your thumb drive, your phone, I don't care, wherever you can read PDFs, okay, maybe all of the above, okay, because there's going to be a number of times when you're going to ask me a question, I'm going to say, well, what did the guide say? And you'll look at me with your eyes or whatever they are, and so the guide's not that long, it's about 30 pages.
What's our industry,
C86083. C86083. I'll give you the teams before we break up. I got 14 minutes. Okay? So get the guide and read the guide twice. Okay? It's about 30 pages, and it's not 30 pages of all kinds of small text or whatever. They got pictures and diagrams and things in there. So it's not that difficult to read. Okay? And believe me, I'm going to ask you some questions throughout the assignments that are going to say, refer to your guide. Okay? And the guide's going to give you all kinds of suggestions too about how to pursue your strategy. Okay? So read through the guide. Okay? And you don't have to commit it to memory because you're going to have it, but you need to have it there and understand it so that when it's time to look for something, you can flip it open. I remember seeing that. It's about halfway through it. Scroll through it and you can find it, right? Okay? So it's another thing. I mean, you're going to pay attention to a lot of stuff that shows up on the game, but I also want you to pay attention to a lot of the stuff that's in the guide, because the guide's got some really, really important stuff. There's little paragraphs in there, you know, that are this big that if you don't pay attention to it, you kind of skip over it, you're going to cost yourself millions of dollars. Okay? So if you pay attention to that, it kind of gives you some hints in there, and if you kind of pay attention, oh, geez, we can do that. We can save millions of dollars. Wow. And millions of dollars, you're not going to save millions of dollars in the very first round that you institute that, but over 8 rounds, you know, you might save tens of millions of dollars. Okay? Or you might make tens of millions of dollars more, or both, right? Okay, so read the guide and read it twice, okay? And kind of have an idea where stuff is in the guide. Know where the index is, so if you got to look stuff up, you can look it up. Okay? How long is that bugger? Let's see. It's only 28 pages, okay? And the last couple pages, I think, are the index. So, and again, it's not terribly... You know, the first page is like the table of contents. So you can see it's got some diagrams, some stuff, you know, and, you know, it's not a very difficult read, so please spend some time with that. Okay, questions about that? Teams? Were there any questions about the guide or anything like that? Okay. Teams. Here's what I have. Team Baldwin it will be. Sorry. I can't read my own writing. Team Baldwin will consist of Mason, Cole, Tara, Cadence, and Tyler. Okay, where's Team Baldwin? Everybody put your hands up so you guys all know who you are. Got it? Okay. And as soon as I'm done here, maybe you guys split into teams and just introduce yourselves. Team Chester will be Della, Nahasa, Tandy, Josie, and Josh. Everybody raise your hand, Team Chester. So you kind of know who you all are. Okay. Team Digby. Be Denise, Andrew, Nikki. Nikki's not here. I'm not sure. I don't know. I haven't seen Nikki Pearson. Okay. That's why it's nice having big teams. If this is screwed up and you're short one or something, it's not going to be too big a deal. So, Eric and Jaime. Okay, everybody raise your hands for Team Digby. Morgan. Okay, Team Erie. Jed. Whitney. Raise your hands. You guys are stuck with the two that I know for sure that are distance, which are Kurt Strasser and Jesse Morales. Okay. I can set up groups. You guys know how to communicate sometimes better than I can ever tell you how to communicate. You guys have cell phones and things like that, smartphones. But however, we need to figure that out. Just let me know and I'll do whatever I can to make that easier. Okay, in some ways it'll be easier doing it this way. Any questions about that? Okay, go ahead and get into your teams. Why don't you introduce yourselves? Okay, Eric? You've already paid for the CompXM, so yeah, don't do that. Don't worry about the CompXM yet. Just stay away from it for now. But you will not. Yeah, if you're getting into that, you're going to end up with a code because you guys have already paid for it. It was part of. You guys actually paid a fee for this class. You probably didn't know that, but you paid a fee for this class, and that paid for that CompXM. Okay, and so it's already paid for. She hasn't even ordered them yet. You know, the bookstore won't order them till because some students might drop or whatever, and so it's a little easier for her to wait for a bit, and then she can order them. And so we'll get those, like I said, about midway through the semester. And whatever you do, yeah, do not give them money for that CompXM because you have already paid for it. And it's a little bit funky how you got to get in there and get signed up for it. But we'll do that later. Okay, yeah, get into your teams. Let's go. Andrew's up, or Baldwin up here, Chester here, Digby, and Erie. Just introduce yourselves so everybody knows each other. You're going to get classroom time to work on a lot of this stuff, okay? But there is going to be some stuff that you're going to want to do out of the classroom, certainly as individuals, but maybe as group people as well. Okay, other than that, I don't have anything more. Go get your deal if you want to. If there's somebody in your team that has registered and you want to go through that, or if you want to just go through the registration, go through and then I can answer any questions.
All we're trying to do, the rest is still trying to force us to take, and then
Yeah.
it won't let us, it won't let us push through them.
And you're just registering for the regular class?
Yeah.
Oh. Because I've got two that have registered, so you should be able to push through. There should be a little button someplace. Let's see. Excuse me.
this is where,
Wait, what? Yeah. So you gotta apply on.
now, I tried my old login, it won't even let you use the registration code.
Yeah. Did you put in all this stuff?
No, because,
Go ahead and put that stuff in, 'cause you gotta have that in for sure.
well, I put it in the other one, like in the original.
Yesterday when I tried to log in, it wouldn't let me.
I'm Josh. Josh.
Yeah. Didn't let you go on then?
No, it's still gonna make us pay.
No
It
pay.
goes to a second one.
Whatever you do, I don't know anybody what to do to register.
There you go.
As long as you get out of it, you can get back. If you're supposed to be getting a second pay for that,
So
so
how
you
do
should
you-
be able to do it with this.
Yeah,
Instead
okay.
of-
So what'd you do?
I just didn't continue. Once you got to that part,
Okay.
to this part, I just went logged out.
Did everybody hear that? So you get to the third page and it's kind of you gotta enter your name and address and all that other stuff. And you enter that, and then you just don't continue. You just go ahead and log out, and then you should be able to come back into capsim.com. Did you guys catch that over here?
No, it automatically sends that.
You already had to send that, catch that? Yeah, you get to a spot, it's gonna ask
Turn it off and
you.
get back on there.
It's gonna ask you for the contact, you don't do that, you get to a page, and you can page where you enter all your name, address and stuff, and it's gonna, you can hit proceed, but it's probably not gonna let you, it's gonna want you to contacts in, just log out at that point, and then log back into capsim.com, it should be set up.
Oh, God, no,
Everyone got this?
Are you talking about?
Okay, for Tuesday, look through the guide and look at the 6 different strategies. Because next week, your team is gonna have to choose a strategy too. Right.